So welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining today's workshop session where we're going to be discussing some of the different ways that you can use the customer service element of your eBay business to help you create connections with your customers, drive better sales results, and grow your overall business. My name is Bryan Bellew. I'm a growth advisor with eBay, and I've been with the company for a little over 8.5 years now. I've worked on a number of special projects that have allowed me to work really with all manner and size of business, helping them implement different, unique, creative strategies to really help them take their business to the next level. So I'm super excited to talk to you today about some of the different elements of customer service and how you can really utilize that to grow your business and create awesome, memorable, positive experiences. So really with that being said, I think most of everyone will agree here that the core or really the backbone of excuse me, any successful business is providing that quality or that positively memorable customer service experience, right? And customer service really just isn't about righting those major wrongs and putting those fires out. It's really all those little things that work in combination to create those experiences that genuinely lead to increased sales, return customers, and just overall business growth, as I mentioned. So, if we think back, I'm sure we can all remember those overwhelmingly positive customer service experiences that we've received, along with those not so great ones as well. And I think some of the times those not so great ones stick with us a little bit more than the positive ones, right? So, they either tend to create loyalty or they can actually deter you from, making purchases and even cause you to actually tell your friends and family, like, hey, I didn't have a great experience here. So, the thing about customer service on eBay is poor service doesn't just mean a loss of sales or customer satisfaction. It could actually also lead to limit restrictions or even possibly suspension. But now, I like to think of it when it comes to customer service, there's not really a silver bullet. It's a combination of all these little things, pre and post transaction that really truly add up and create those memorable transactions that lead to overall growth. So, when we think about customer service as well, it can really be a huge differentiator. And honestly, every interaction that you have is an opportunity that you have to connect with your customers, retain them, and then grow that base. So today we're going to talk about some of the different considerations that you want to keep in mind when it comes to the customer service element of running your eBay business. And, really with that being said, I think my overall goal for this workshop is to help you understand how to use customer service and really empower you with some different nuanced and creative ways to help you create those experiences and really just take your business to the next level. So some really fun, interesting stuff to talk with you about today. Now, during today's presentation, if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to use the Q&A function that's located on the right-hand side of the Bellew tool that you're using here. So we have a staff of folks that are very, very knowledgeable and really excited to answer any questions you have. So please, along the session or even after, feel free to shoot those our way, and we'll be happy to answer those for you. So on a little bit more of a tactical level, what we're going to be discussing today is really, setting the right expectations for your customers. And honestly, setting those right expectations is really that first step and consideration when it comes to providing an excellent service experience. We're going to talk a little bit about how important communication is and how it's really key and how crucial of a role it plays in the overall customer service experience you're providing, before a buyer chooses to purchase an item from you and even after a buyer chooses to purchase that item from you. We're going to talk about some different and unique ways that you can create those positively memorable experiences for your buyers. And then we're going to talk a little bit about kind of taking those negative experiences, negative feedback, seller fault type returns, and then turning those moments into actionable opportunities that can still, again, really help you grow your business and take things to the next level. And then finally, we're going to go ahead and talk about different returns and some key considerations that you need to take into account when you are considering the different types of returns that you offer. And then we're going to also talk about, some different ways that you can offer free returns with little to no cost paid by you, the seller. So again, that's a huge differentiator, and it speaks volumes about the service you provide. So really excited to talk to you about some of the different ways that you can make those calculations and again, create a fantastic experience for your customers. So moving on, As I mentioned in the last slide, really setting that right expectation is the critical first step when it comes to providing excellent customer service and avoiding potential buyer disputes. If we think about it from a listing standpoint, thinking about the titles, are they complete? Are they descriptive enough to connect with your buyers and, avoid confusion? Is there really ease of understanding so they can just click and purchase and get exactly what they think they're going to, get their hands on? Thinking about your item specifics, right? Are they complete and accurate? Do they coincide or do they potentially contradict the product that you're advertising? You know, Moving on, thinking about the photos, they speak a tremendous volume about the product that you're advertising. Are they photos of the actual advertised product? Are they stock photos? Are they providing enough information for your customers so they can make that complete assessment of what they're purchasing and actually receive that item that they've assumed that they're purchasing, right? Actually connecting the buyer with that exact item that they feel that they're going to be receiving. Moving on and thinking about your descriptions, are they providing those pertinent details outside of what's being presented in the title? Or the item specifics or even the photos? Are they connecting those additional dots? Again, with your description, are there potentially, contradictions that could cost you a sale or drive an unnecessary return, a poor experience, or additional communication where you could otherwise be using that time to really grow your business? Moving on and thinking from a policy standpoint, it really speaks volume about your service when you're executing on what you're offering. Considering the shipping service that you're offering, make sure that it's actually consistent with the service that you're using. Once in a great while, I've ordered a few things on eBay and I've received them with a little bit of a slower service or a different service used, and it's not always the best experience, right? So again, I think consistency is key when it comes to executing on some of the different services that you're offering there. So, moving on and thinking with your handling, thinking about your handling time rather, and the return service that you're offering. If you are offering those returns, are they simple? Are you making it as seamless as possible? With your handling time, are you executing on that handling time, making sure that the buyer is receiving that item when they anticipate it? So all these things are all little things that build up into an overall customer service experience that isn't necessarily felt when they're reaching out, but it's really just felt by the overall experience of browsing your listings and taking a look at your description and really the time, effort, and energy that you put into that. I'd say really the big takeaway here is, making sure that you're offering your buyer flexible yet manageable policies that you're able to reasonably meet. I think it's always safe, or it's always better rather to under promise and over deliver rather than over delivering and excuse me, rather than over promising and under delivering, right? That can negatively affect the customer experience and can ultimately, negatively affect your service metrics as well. Honestly, like I mentioned before, when a buyer navigates to your listing, this is truly the first impression that they're going to get of the service that you provide. Really, the quality of your listings, the quality of your photos, the flexibility that you're offering. It is all truly an expression of the service that you're going to provide to your customer and speaks volumes about what you're offering prior to them actually interacting with you, right? Now, moving along, thinking about communication, right? So one of the best ways to let your buyers know that they're important to you before purchasing or really even after is by communicating positively, professionally, personally, and in a timely manner via eBay messages or through Seller Hub. Really in my experience over the past eight and a half years, I've seen numerous issues that could have easily been avoided with timely and positive communication. I've also seen quite a few negative experiences turned around with a little bit of empathy, understanding, and really just an overall positive outlook and a willingness to help. One thing that I have to remind myself of sometimes when I'm not just speaking or communicating through messages and just also communicating to my fellow employees is, think and speak positively. That tone you're using in your eBay messaging doesn't necessarily always translate well online. If you feel that something might not be coming across the best way possible, take a step back, take a deep breath, have maybe a colleague read that, and think about the way that you're coming across. So again, like I mentioned, tone doesn't necessarily translate well online, but it does speak volumes about the care and effort and energy that you're putting into taking care of your customer. When you're thinking about your communication, keep in mind that a timely response prior to a purchase can absolutely make or break a sale. If you're waiting too long to reply or answer an inquiry, it's very possible that your potential customer is going to go ahead and just purchase that item from somebody else who has the information in their listing or who responds to their question in a little bit more of an expedient manner. If you think about post-transaction or after purchasing, a late reply could create negative sentiment, could lead to negative feedback, or even drive an unnecessary return, and that's money out of your pocket. You know, what I like to do on my end is thinking about the way that I manage my day. Really consider putting aside some time in the morning and maybe even before closing, where you can exclusively spend time, checking for those new messages and replying to customers. I'm a seller on eBay myself. I'm a little bit of a small time seller. My wife makes me sell all the extra fun little big kid toys I'm into so I can make room for new ones. But one thing that I do is I actually use the eBay app to check and reply to messages when I'm not around my computer, or if I'm like hanging out with my kiddo or at the store. Again, I think a quick response really tells your customer that you care about the experience. And that their experience matters to you. And again, if that matters to you, it matters to them. And I think that translates tremendously in this digital age, right? One thing I know this may seem silly, but I think this is worth inventorying as well, is that don't don't ever assume that a question is a dumb question. I hate to put it that way, but honestly, it's as a seller on eBay, as somewhat of a subject matter expert, you probably know those products in and out, right? You're somewhat of an expert on that yourself, but your customer doesn't always tend to be. Really always assume the best. And if it seems like things seem a little bit askew in your messaging, if you things might be going a direction that you're not necessarily anticipating them going, always feel free to reach out to eBay for assistance and direction. We're happy to look at the full scope of the situation and provide some solid direction and suggestions on which direction you may need to take things in order to right a situation, keep a situation positive, or meet a customer's expectations. So again, please keep us in the loop if things do seem a little awry. But again, being cognizant of the way that you're answering that question and assuming the best out of it, I think that goes a long way. Again, remember, besides resulting in more sales, if you reply to buyers quickly, professionally, and personally, it reflects tremendously on your overall standard of customer service. Honestly, when it comes to the way that you're responding, how quickly you're responding, and the tone you're using, it speaks tremendous volume about the service that you're offering on eBay. Now, one of the very first actual tangible impressions that you can make on your customer is when your buyer receives the item that they are eagerly anticipating the arrival of. Right? This is really a truly amazing opportunity to not only meet their expectations, but really exceed them in a physical, tangible way. Now they have that product in their hand, they have that package in their hand, they've been waiting for it, they're super excited about it. So here's a way to kind of capitalize that, right? Or capitalize on that rather. Think about adding some fun personal touches to your packaging. It's a great way to showcase your package and make an interesting first great impression. I bought a t-shirt from a seller, just a personal story here. I bought a t-shirt from a seller that I worked with in Austin, Texas. I loved her t-shirts and she sold it to me, and it came in a Mylar bag that had the screen print of another t-shirt that she sold, and I didn't even realize she sold that. When I saw that she sold that and she included some stickers in there, I actually reached out to her and ended up convincing her to list it on eBay, and I actually purchased that one from her as well. So again, I think utilizing your package, it's a great way to make an awesome first impression. Use stickers, branded mailing bags, boxes, attractive tissue paper, and enhance that opening and unboxing experience, right? You can purchase eBay branded supplies at really affordable rates from the eBay shipping supply store. If you're a store subscriber, of course, you're going to receive quarterly credits for branded shipping supplies. So make sure that you take advantage of that perk. It's an awesome perk to take advantage of for sure. One thing you may want to consider doing as well is add a thank you note on top of the item. Place it so it's right there and it's easily seen once that package is open. Even include a line asking for feedback if they're happy with the transaction. That's one thing that I did on my end. I'd say, maybe 4 out of 10 shipments that I was sending without that little thank you note, I was getting positive feedback. But I'll tell you, once I started including a personalized thank you note that thanked them for their purchase and told them I hope this package found them in good spirits, so on and so forth, I actually include something on there that if they're happy with the transaction, to take a moment and leave me positive feedback. And then I actually hand sign my name and write my phone number on there and say thank you on there. And I found that by implementing that simple little strategy, I increased the amount of positive feedback that I was receiving. And I haven't gotten a single phone call. Even though I write my own personal phone number on each and every one of those thank you notes, I haven't gotten a single phone call complaining about anything whatsoever. So, but again, I think that goes a long way of differentiating what you're offering and creating just really a positively memorable, awesome experience that's going to stick with your customer and create a sense of loyalty and potentially return customers, right? Another great thing that you can do when you're fulfilling these packages, include stickers, branding wise, extras or related product samples, right, in your shipments. If you think about including those extras, it's a great way to cross promote your brand above and beyond your reach. So certain, nail polishes, if you're selling certain lip glosses and things like that, maybe flavored items, consider, adding that sample in there so you can cross promote, right? Again, not only is this a great way to reach an audience with an item they may have not initially considered, I think this also serves as really a fun surprise when you're introducing customers to different products or product lines. Personally, I rarely receive extras in my packages, but when I do, it's super impactful, positive experience. And I'm always quick to reply with a positive feedback and a quick little thank you message. So even receiving just a magnet, and a shipment I received about 2 weeks ago, I ordered a pair of tennis shoes. I ordered them from Russia, and in this included a magnet, actually. That silly little thing, it spoke to me, and it actually meant something. So with that, I absolutely jumped right on and left positive impact and shared that and sent them a quick little thank you message. But still, I think these are small, little, tiny little things that you can do that all add up to create really big results, and they shouldn't be underestimated, right? The fulfillment process is a huge way to capitalize on an additional opportunity to cross promote and just add that icing or that cherry on top, so to speak. So now, unfortunately, something we don't like to talk about too often, of course, is receiving negative feedback or certain return requests that may not necessarily, we may not feel are aligned with a product we've advertised or things like that. Although negative feedback ratings and return requests don't impact your seller level negatively, they are often a reflection of the customer service you're providing. Now, in the vast majority of cases that I work with, I really like to look at the negative feedback that I've received or a negative feedback that a member receives as something that could have been done differently, not something that was done really incorrectly or wrong, right? Really most often, you can avoid negative feedback by setting the right expectations and communicating positively, personally, and promptly. However, when you do receive negative feedback and it was a fair assessment of your service, really view that as an opportunity to learn and improve, right? Now, in the off chance that you do receive that negative feedback or what you believe is an unnecessary return, of course, do what you can to right that situation and get that negative feedback revised, and make us aware, of course, as well. But more importantly, look at it as an opportunity to assess what may have gone awry, and then ask yourself, is this a common issue or is this potentially a one-off? Take that assessment and make an adjustment to your listing or your processes, your fulfillment processes. Whatever it is, try to avoid that happening in the future. If you receive customer questions, unnecessary, what you feel are maybe unnecessary communications, or if you're receiving consistent questions about a certain product line, consider including those details in your listing. Not only will this improve your listing, but it might also decrease, potential inquiries and return requests, from future buyers. And now moving on, I'm really excited to talk to you about some different options here with returns. But when it comes to handling and offering returns with buyers, in today's marketplace, I think buyers do value the flexibility and reassurance that comes with returns. By allowing returns, of course, you're going to enjoy increased visibility, which generally leads to increased sales. But when you are offering returns, I think you're speaking more about the flexibility of your business and the service that you're willing to provide. The great thing about eBay is that we do offer a myriad of choices, including everything from not offering returns all the way up to free seller paid 60-day returns. Now, the great thing about handling returns on eBay is that it's simple, and in most cases, we're going to automatically accept return requests, provide that buyer a shipping label, and get it back to you as quickly as possible, as long as that label is available for that buyer to print out. Now, I would say, however, when it does come to return requests, it is important to prioritize those types of requests and try to resolve those inquiries as soon as possible. Even in some cases, you're going to find that you can avoid returns by providing direction or alternate, repair options and things like that. So again, the great thing about eBay is the flexibility that we offer. As long as you're taking care of the customer, providing a solution that they feel is viable, we're perfectly fine with that. So again, we're providing you flexibility in that area. But I'd say, when it does come to, accepting and facilitating returns, that is an element of providing, that is customer service. That is a service you're providing your customers. I think offering free returns is a way to offer exceptional customer service. And, remember, something to keep in mind here, buyers aren't purchasing things on eBay with the intention of returning those items. So, by offering free returns, it shouldn't necessarily affect your return rate percentage. But by offering free returns, you could potentially convert page views into sales as much as 25%. So with that, maybe one or two additional quarterly returns that might drive, you're potentially increasing your page views and conversions up to 25%. So if you're doing that comparison there, that additional flexibility is well worth the additional conversion or additional sales that could result in that. Now, as I mentioned, offering free returns is a great way to lift conversion. Now, free returns might not be the right fit for every type of item on eBay. However, you'd be surprised, honestly, at how little cost this hugely differentiating service could actually cost you, the seller, especially when you bake those potential costs into the item itself. Now, luckily, we provide a pretty easy to use calculator that does a lot of the heavy lifting and math here for you. So simply search for eBay returns calculator on almost any search engine, or visit the Seller Center help pages and just look for the returns calculator and you'll find that information. Now, the cool thing about this is all you have to do is input the total number of items that you sell in a 90-day period, then input the number of returns that you'll handle in that period, or that number of returns you handled in that period of time, the total cost for those returns, the current return policy you're using, and then what you'd like to move that to. And then our tool does the rest. So what I want to do is to actually give you an idea of how little a cost that can actually be. I want to do a quick little example or a quick little walkthrough with you here. So, and please note, this is an actual example that I took from a real world seller that I've worked with. And these figures are based on the details that I've added into the calculator to get these calculations. So in this example, we're going to look at a seller that sells 12 items a day. So in a quarterly period of time, we're looking at 1,080 items in that 90-day time frame. So during that 90-day period, they've facilitated 21 returns. Now that's a 1.94% return rate, which, believe it or not, isn't astronomically high. Now, they could possibly lower that if they've looked for some common denominators in the returns, maybe descriptions, specifics, type of items, things like that. But still, a 1.94% return rate is not tremendously high for the category that they sell in, sporting goods mostly. So now, on average, they're looking at about a $9 return cost per item. So quarterly, we're looking at $189. So if we look at this example, we're looking at a cost increase of only 22 cents per listed item in order to compensate for the total cost of offering free returns. Now, of course, what you want to do on that end, when you do come up with a 22% cost increase per item, you want to do a quick little assessment and make sure that, if you do add that 22 cents upon your item, that you still are going to be price competitive. So you've also got some flexibility there as well. Perhaps even consider offering or adding 10 cents per item and splitting the difference, right? Again, this offer, by offering free returns, you shouldn't increase the cost you're paying out or the number of returns that you're actually driving. If anything, this should increase customer confidence and thus, increase the total number of sales that you're generating. At the end of the day, by offering free returns, you may end up facilitating one or two extra returns. But honestly, focusing on that 5 or 6 more sales that you've gained is really where the money is, right? So again, I would strongly encourage you to take a look at the inventory that you house. Assess what inventory would fit in the free returns model and try to incorporate that, if not with all of your inventory, with some of your inventory. And again, use the calculator tool that we have, throw some numbers in there, and I think you'd be pleasantly surprised at how little you would actually have to add to your items so you could compensate for that. And again, adding a fantastically differentiating service that will help you stand out from your competition massively. And really, again, offering an amazing post-transaction service and experience if that buyer does actually have to return that item. So with that being said, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And we'll talk to you soon.